So welcome to Resource Materials and Technology Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing's June TA Live. Principle 10, State Leadership and Collaboration is Essential. This is our final TA Live of the 2020-2021 school year. My name is Carol Wilmot, and thank you to Catherine, our ASL interpreter from AI Media, for interpreting today. We will continue to use the live binder found on this slide to keep all the resources we discuss in one place on optimizing outcomes for students who are deaf and hard of hearing. The resources discussed during the webinar, as well as the slide deck, can be found in the live binder. We have discussed the 9 principles of optimizing outcomes guidelines. Links to the recordings can be found on the RMTC DHH website and in the Optimizing Outcomes live binder. This month, we will be discussing the 10th and final principle. State leadership and collaboration is essential. Visible learning, mean effect size for collective teacher efficacy is 1.57. This is the #1 factor for improving student outcomes. This means students have the potential to improve at intervention level growth. According to an article by Donahue, 2017, when teachers believe that together they are capable of developing students' critical thinking skills, creativity, and mastery of complex content, it happens. Collective teacher efficacy refers to a staff's shared belief that through their collective action, they can positively influence student outcomes, including those who are disengaged and/or disadvantaged. Educators with high efficacy show greater effort and persistence, a willingness to try new teaching approaches, set more challenging goals, and attend more closely to the needs of students who require extra assistance. In addition, when collective efficacy is present, staffs are better equipped to foster positive behavior in students and in raising students' expectations of themselves by convincing them that they can do well in school. Both the Florida Department of Education and RMTC DHH believe students who are deaf and hard of hearing can graduate and become productive citizens. We are here to collaborate with you, our stakeholders, and districts to optimize outcomes for students who are deaf and hard of hearing. And today, we're going to share with you how professionals at every level in Florida can collaborate for students who are deaf and hard of hearing. We are continuing to learn, and we want to grow with you. So what does collaboration mean? Collaboration does not mean compromise, nor does it mean the majority rules. It is a collaborative environment. In a collaborative environment, each person finds out what the other needs and both work together to meet those needs. During the collaborative process, parties may decide to compromise, but without collaboration, compromise is just 2 or more parties leaving the conflict with only partially fulfilled needs. The free flow of information and resources between collaborative entities is vital for the well-being of the profession. It may not always be easy to get information, especially if your district communication is weak. You may have to get out there and find it yourself. RMTC, DHH, and Florida State Leadership are here to help you research those topics. Florida leadership includes state agencies, such as the Florida Department of Education, Bureau of Exceptional Student Education, and your different discretionary projects like RMTC. You also have local education agencies, parents, consumers who are deaf and hard of hearing, state and local educators, university prep programs like Flagler College and the University of North Florida, and advocacy organizations. The Bureau of Exceptional Student Education administers 14 programs for students with disabilities. In addition, they coordinate these student services throughout the state and participate in multiple interagency efforts designed to strengthen the quality and variety of services available to students with special needs. Florida chooses to allocate some of their IDEA dollars for discretionary projects to support the implementation of all special education programs statewide with Fidelity. RMTC is one of those specialty projects. Our project focuses on deaf and hard of hearing and are able to support all the teachers of the deaf and other stakeholders working with students who are deaf and hard of hearing. Additional projects in Florida with a focus on deaf and hard of hearing are the Educational Interpreter Project, Florida and Virgin Islands Deafblind Collaborative, the Clark School for Hearing and Speech, Florida, the Debbie School, and you can learn more about these projects by reading the Florida Discretionary Project descriptions. FAVI is a federally funded grant, and you can learn more about them on their website. These are a few of the other discretionary projects that RMTC works with closely to provide high-quality education for students who are deaf and hard of hearing. Access supports the provision of instruction for students on access points. We've collaborated with them on the Communication Matrix training, Deaf Plus, and Assistive Technology lesson integration. Fiddlers provides child find services, parent support, district human resource professional development, and technology professional development. RMTC is a Fiddler Specialty Center, and we collaborate on many things. One of the most recent examples is the Professional Development Alternative courses. FIN provides support for mainstreaming. We recently developed a FIN Q card for general education teachers. Project 10 is your go-to for secondary transition support. RMTC is working with them to develop post-secondary transition guides for deaf hard of hearing, as well as including deaf hard of hearing resources on their website. TLC is a part of the MTSS network, providing support for implementation of the RTI process. We work closely with them on providing professional development on AT for students who are deaf and hard of hearing, as well as strategies and interventions developed for deaf and hard of hearing, which are also UDL. We have been working closely with them this year on the Passport for Learning and have worked with them in the past during their regional assistive technology specialist meetings and assistive technology lesson integration. Professional and advocacy organizations provide support and help professionals to develop their professional learning network. These are just a few of the agencies you may want to collaborate with depending on the needs of your district. All of these organizations will be listed in the live binder with links to their websites so you can learn more about them. This list is not comprehensive, so if you know of some that we need to add, please let us know and we are happy to add them. Florida Educators for Students Who Are Deaf and Hard of Hearing, also known as FEDA, is an educational organization in Florida specific for professional development for educators working with students who are deaf and hard of hearing. They promote professional growth, closer cooperation, and effective communication. They provide a forum for exchange of current information, teaching strategies, legislative content. They host an annual conference. Just to let you know, the call for papers is now open, and we're planning for November 2021 for a face-to-face conference. So please share your ideas and get those submissions in. They also offer mini grants for innovating and exciting projects for students who are deaf and hard of hearing. And they've recently announced those winners if you want to check it out on their website. Maybe you can even get some great ideas. They celebrate fellow deaf hard of hearing educators with the Brian Newton Award of Excellence in Education. Collaboration is essential at all levels, but it must start first at the district level. What makes up the district leadership where you are? What topics should your district be focusing on to build capacity? How do you evaluate what your district leadership is for students who are deaf and hard of hearing? NASD has an answer for that. They've developed a program and service review checklist in the Optimizing Outcomes book that can be used to evaluate a district program for students who are deaf and hard of hearing. Section 10 provides questions to evaluate the district's various collaboration efforts. These are a summary of the questions. Today's panelists will share their answers to these questions. Their answers may help you support your district leadership or come up with your own ideas for your district. I recommend that you answer these questions after you watch this webinar to start the process of building district leadership and collaboration. RMTC is happy to welcome the following panelists to share how your district can collaborate with Florida State leadership and within your own district. Shelley Artis is the FSDB Administrator of Technology and Outreach Services. Jennifer Coburn is the FDOE, BESC, DHH, VI, and DSI Specialist. Jennifer Francisco is the Director of Educational Interpreter Project. Carmelina Hollingsworth is the Director of RMTC DHH. And Elizabeth Padilla is the Coordinator for Deaf and Hard of Hearing and Speech and Language Pathology in Orange County. Each will share how they answer the questions from the NASD review checklist and their leadership role. And first up is Jennifer Coburn from BESC. And we welcome you, Jennifer. If you want to go ahead and turn your camera on, and I'm going to shut mine off so you guys can focus on her and the interpreter.
All right. Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. I am excited to speak to you about the Bureau of Exceptional Student Education's role as it pertains to Principle 10 of the Optimizing Outcomes for Students who are deaf and hard of hearing. I'm probably going to echo a lot of what Kara has shared, but that's okay. It's always good to hear it again, but she did a fabulous job of explaining each section. So first, I would like to address how BEES provides supports for a seamless continuum of placement and services. So regardless of exceptionality, BEES supports districts implementing a multi-tiered system of supports that supports that seamless and continuous framework of placement, along with the student's IEP, which is to be individualized and tailored to students' needs and encompasses all the services and supports they would need. BEES also provides other guidance through technical assistance papers, TAPs, which answers frequently asked questions that you may have about an eligibility area or topic areas that you may need assistance for. In addition, BEES provides information on state and federal laws as it relates to the education of exceptional students. So next, how does BEES provide a core group of deaf education leaders to promote high quality educational services? So one way that BEES helps in this area is by providing resources and supports through our IDEA discretionary projects, which is a lot, like I said, Kara, I'm going to echo a little bit of what Kara had shared. So such as our projects like RMTC, the Educational Interpreters Project, our auditory oral grants, Debbie and Clark. BEES also supports the Florida education of students who are deaf, hard of hearing, again, known as FHDA. We also work with programs like UNF and Flagler that provide DHH teacher prep programs. Another way that we support high quality education is through professional development. We have a BEES PD portal, which offers a variety of professional development opportunities. These PD courses can be facilitated, or they can be independent courses of study. So these courses that we currently have that pertain to deaf or hard of hearing are DeafEd Express, Language Reading Connection for deaf, hard of hearing, and Usher syndrome screening. The third question on the slide is, how does BEES consider the unique context of the district's student assessment performance and other key indicators? So many of you that are on this call may have experience working in different districts throughout Florida. With that said, you're very much aware that there are unique differences between each of these districts. So our Bureau understands that this is, and we understand this and will provide data to districts and discretionary projects so that you can be better informed and make data-driven decisions for your students in your district. Next, how does BEES support districts maintaining connections with FDOE? Connections are important. Communication is important. Our Bureau wants to be sure that you are connected. We have several ways that we maintain connection with the districts. One way is participating in contacts meetings. This is where we update the districts on what is happening across the state, as well as take the opportunity to share data, like the data that I just mentioned. BEES also sends out a weekly newsletter called the BEES Weekly to our listservs. This newsletter provides our listservs with events and opportunities happening around Florida. It also serves as a place where we inform districts of any changes that are taking place, such as changes with our Florida rule, like changes that impact our students. We have bi-monthly topical calls and bi-monthly director calls. This past year, some of our topical calls provided a variety of information about inclusion, about secondary transition. In that one, we included information on our students who are deaf, hard of hearing, and also had a speech language services on that topical call. So these are just a few topics, but there are many others. We also send out important memos and invitations to conferences and meetings, meetings such as the administrative management meetings. Lastly, how does BEES work with advocacy and other family support agencies? Advocates and family support agencies are welcome to attend our meetings and conferences, and they often do. We collaborate with the Bureau of Family and Community Outreach within the department to ensure that we're reaching out to stakeholders. Their mission is to empower families and communities with resources and information needed to promote high quality education. So in addition to this, we also hold state advisory committee meeting for the education of exceptional students called SAC. This is a state advisory committee that is appointed by the Commissioner of Education. SAC provides policy guidance for exceptional student education as it's related as related services for Florida's children with disabilities. So that was our last bullet on this slide. So again, thank you for having me today. If you should need anything, please do not ever hesitate to contact me. I will put my contact information in the chat box for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, so much for sharing. And we also are putting the contact information in the live binder too. And next up, we have our fabulous director, Carmelina Hollingsworth with Resource Materials and Technology Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing.
Thank you. So following Jennifer, how does RMTC DHH support the seamless continuum of placement services and supports for students who are deaf, hard of hearing? So RMTC DHH believes that working collaboratively is essential to ensuring a continuum of placement services and supports are available to all students who are deaf or hard of hearing, and that partnerships are critical in improving systems of service delivery and programs. So RMTC DHH collaborates with other state and federal discretionary projects, as well as local and national organizations and agencies, to ensure that we remain knowledgeable of the most current initiatives and changes, not only in deaf education, but in education in general. By partnering with school district staff, RMTC DHH is able to provide support that's individualized to the specific needs of the districts. Building relationships and strong partnerships allow RMTC DHH to gather the most current information available to develop guidance documents on topics such as evidence-based practices and to provide technical assistance as well as targeted intensive support to school districts when requested. To further support services for students, RMTC DHH provides professional development opportunities, often with follow-up coaching and mentoring, consultation regarding specific students, and even facilitates cross-district collaboration when appropriate to help build capacity in a continuum where one may not otherwise exist. So in looking at our second bullet, providing a core group of deaf education leaders to promote high quality educational services. So the RMTC DHH team is comprised of a team of highly passionate individuals from a variety of backgrounds, and they each bring with them unique experiences as educators and as parents. The RMTC DHH staff stay abreast of national trends and what is happening not only in Florida, but in other states as well by attending conferences and participating on state and national committees. RMTC DHH then annually provides Working with the Experts Deaf Hard of Hearing, which is a form of professional development, which allows research and evidence-based instruction and practices to be offered in Florida by nationally recognized trainers. And when appropriate, RMTC staff themselves participate, which allows them to become trainers and coaches. This allows us to provide ongoing coaching and follow-up and mentoring to Florida stakeholders, even after the training is complete. In addition, RMTC DHH may hire content experts as needed to help develop high quality materials. We also meet regularly with leaders of the deaf education programs at Flagler College and the University of North Florida to share and explore trends and ideas related to deaf education. All of these things allow us to deliver high quality, relevant, and needed professional development and support to school districts. Our next bullet is asking, how do we consider the unique context of the district's student assessment performance and other key indicators? So Florida is a diverse state consisting of some very urban areas to some very rural areas. The populations of students who are deaf or hard of hearing with each of these areas is also diverse. The provision of services may look very different from one school district to another. And as a result, professional development and technical assistant needs also vary. So RMTC works to gather and analyze district, state, and federally reported data related to student outcomes, student performance, and demographics. This, along with anecdotal data and working with each individual district to understand their data and their needs, allows RMTC DHH to help districts identify strengths and areas of opportunity that are unique to them. By district request, RMTC DHH may provide on-site program review to assist districts in identifying targeted areas of need to assist in building capacity and improving programs for students who are deaf or hard of hearing in their district. And this one's my favorite. How does RMTC DHH support districts in maintaining connections with the Florida Department of Ed? So we strive to act as a conduit of information coming from the state to districts, but often more importantly from the districts to the state. We seek to maintain connections by facilitating the annual meeting for program context for deaf and hard of hearing, by facilitating committees and work groups to assist in the development of related technical assistance papers and other guidance and documents, and by supporting the FIDA organization and the annual FIDA conference. RMTC DHH staff attend B's and other state meetings and present when invited. Information is also included as appropriate in the B's weekly memo, which is sent to ESE directors and other listservs. Relevant information learned by RMTC DHH through these sources is then included in the RMTC DHH e-newsletters, tech notes, and just-in-time news and information, both of which are sent to stakeholders who have signed up to receive them. Additionally, RMTC DHH conducts biannual focus groups with ESE directors or their designees to examine the issues and needs concerning serving children who are deaf or hard of hearing in Florida schools. The results of the biannual focus group are then summarized based on recurring findings, themes, and suggestions of the districts. The resulting report is then shared with the participating districts and with our program liaison at B's. It may be used to guide how the state can better support districts and to direct future activities of the projects that specialize in supporting stakeholders, serving students who are deaf or hard of hearing. Working with advocacy and other family support agencies. So relationships are essential. RMTC DHH believes that working with all stakeholders, including parents and advocacy groups, are key to improving outcomes for all students who are deaf or hard of hearing. RMTC DHH has on staff a parent liaison who can take parent calls and assist the parents as needed. In addition, RMTC DHH meets periodically with the FSDB Parent Infant Program to share information, resources, and to strategize how to better provide supports to parents and babies around the state. RMTC DHH also keeps in touch with the Hands and Voices organization, presents and exhibits annually at the Family Cafe Conference, and works with the Family Network on Disabilities to provide Facebook Live sessions for parents. These are just a few examples. So to summarize, RMTC DHH supports the position that professional learning and problem solving most often occur in group settings within which the stakeholders interact with a common purpose. It is our goal to facilitate such opportunities in order to build capacity within districts to ensure and increase access to and engagement in all areas of the educational environment for every student who is deaf or hard of hearing in Florida. Learning and sharing with one another, including parents and partner agencies and organizations, analyzing data, and support from state and district leadership are essential to successful systems of delivery of programs and services for students who are deaf or hard of hearing. The team at RMTC DHH look forward to continued and new collaborative opportunities. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Carmelina. And next up, we have Jennifer Francisco from the Educational Interpreter Project.
Hello, and thank you for having me here. I'm very excited to be here. And I'm here with the Ed Interpreter for the representing the Educational Interpreter Project this year. We've been working and really enjoyed this project. The first question, we collaborate with all the districts all over the state of Florida. With every district is unique and different. No district is the same. The staff are different, the interpreters are different, the students are different. So we provide support with workshops and training, resources, and consulting, how to best provide for the interpreters, the staff, and the students. So that is my focus, and it is a big responsibility. The next one, and how we can, goal is to keep it seamless as we move forward. The next one is how we can help with the agencies in the district with interpreters and support with conferences and trainings with FEDHH and other agencies. We support providing interpreters and teachers as well. Also, with my training with workshops, we bring the DHH deaf and hard of hearing students, presenters, or any other presenters that we could bring to hear their perspectives on the best way to provide interpreters and how to become an excellent interpreter for the deaf and hard of hearing students, so that deaf and hard of hearing students can develop successfully and grow. Okay, the next question, the second one is, a goal of our district is to provide with the best workshops and trainings so that the staff interpreters can have the most up-to-date information and can gather resources and more information and data that will help them to provide insight and information for our district and the staff who need training, or if they just need to improve specific areas, to help our interpreters develop and improve so that they could be ready for our DHH students. Also, we provide training and conferences with information for the districts so they can become top in their fields, and they can go to the trainings. I go to the trainings myself so I can receive new information and learn about the new topics and then provide those to our interpreters as well. We collaborate with various projects, and we work with other peers to help provide the best information as well. We send out e-blasts with information regarding workshops, different topics related for interpreters, and all of that we provide is free for them. On the third one, as I mentioned before, all the districts are unique, and they all need unique skills related to each of their districts. So each individual district has different needs that are required to be satisfied. So we try to match each district and what their needs with resources, giving feedback, and providing whatever their needs are. Next, the fourth question, we support the district, and we give every quarter We give interpreter leadership meetings. We evaluate students after workshops with receiving feedback. We have monthly meetings with Jennifer Corbin, and there we discuss the data and the information on how to improve our project. And we collaborate with various projects to be innovative and brainstorm with different ideas about future workshops and projects. The last question, how do we advocate with other projects? If we have a concern or somebody has an idea that we can collaborate with that maybe is not in my field, then we contact the other various projects and we try to link up with them or forward people onto those projects that are related. We advocate by providing interpreters for specific unique needs to help with the different agent. We may even hire agency interpreters so that we can have resources and information for various workshops, and so that the interpreters themselves can improve in their work. So we're happy to provide the support that we do with the staff and the interpreters. So we thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, Jennifer, so much for everything you do and for sharing today. Next up, we have Shelley Artis from the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be here talking about how we collaborate and work on improving the education for students who are deaf and hard of hearing. How does FSDB collaborate for a seamless continuum? We do seek to have a strong relationship with different projects and programs at the Florida Department of Education, as well as we would like to collaborate with other coordinators and directors across the school districts and with families and other organizations and associations. We have a leadership that truly understands that FSDB is a unique placement. It's a placement on the continuum of services that is wonderful for kids, sometimes for a particular point in their life, and sometimes for their entire educational career. Because we know students may come and go back to a district or come back when they're at a specific age, they feel this is the right placement for them. We do want to maintain strong relationships with the other placements throughout the state of Florida. FSDB offers outreach evaluations in partnership with districts to assist where they may not have capacity to provide that service. And we do have specialists that have skill sets. Some districts may benefit from collaborating to get that service. We also have a continuum of services here on the campus. We do have students who take courses both in the deaf department and the blind department, for example. Or we have students who are deaf-blind who are primarily served in one school, but receive additional supports and services from specialists from the blind department. So we really work to meet the needs of students on our campus and then have smooth transitions when they exit and prepare them to be successful, throughout their life. As far as having a core group of strong deaf education leaders and parents to promote high quality services, I think one of the most important partnerships any of us can have as educators is with parents. We do have very strong leaders at the school, and we have very strong parents. We look forward to sending families to local, regional, and national events to develop their skills, and then to bring back that knowledge that they can share parent to parent. We have workshops and opportunities on the campus as well to develop parent knowledge and skills. And going forward, I really do look forward to FSDB collaborating with RMTC, DHH, and other school districts to again offer some collaborative professional development on our campus, or just co-hosting even off our campus. How does FSDB consider the unique context of the district, student assessment performance, and other key indicators? FSDB has some unique advantages. Being a state boarding school for students, we do have capacity to provide a whole wealth of services on the campus with the specialists that we have and having the students here in the evenings. We have an opportunity for enrichment activities, athletic activities where kids can really feel they're getting that full school experience and become well-rounded. We offer a lot of rec and independent living activities into the evenings. It's understood by the professionals here on the campus that assessments must be accessible and curriculum must be accessible. So the teams work really well to evaluate the curriculum we need to buy, to advocate for assessment accessibility when the tests that are required by the state don't meet our expectations. We try to advocate not only for the students here, but students statewide. Here we're in a unique situation where we have had the resources to offer one-to-one technologies at every grade level. That includes the students being assigned a device for their everyday learning. In addition, some students have additional devices if they need assistive technology above and beyond an iPad or a laptop. FSDB provides ongoing support for teachers on the implementation of assessments, on the changes of standards and curriculum, really focusing heavily on data analysis and student conferencing to make sure that students understand their own growth. We also work to interpret this information to parents so parents can advocate and understand where their child is in their level of performance throughout their educational career. How does FSDB maintain connections with state leadership and entities that provide professional development in deaf education? FSDB leadership staff are members of many state and national associations and are actively involved in not only participating in state and national conferences, but also contributing to professional development, whether that's being on committees to design conferences, as well as offering presentations and other kinds of services at different events. We seek to improve the education, not only on our campus, but we collaborate when invited and when able with the pre-service programs, as well as collaboratively with other professionals in the field. FSDB's collaboration with advocacy and family support organizations. As I mentioned before, the family is key. The relationship with a family, the support at home is such an important component of any child's education. We support sending families to events such as Family Cafe, the Early Hearing Detection and Intervention Conference, the American Society for Deaf Children events, and other events as we find out about them and have interest in sending folks to them. We really value the role parents have and want to provide opportunities on the campus and off the campus. We have a very strong parent-infant program statewide. We have parent education workshops, family networking opportunities, and families do have the ability to participate on committees such as our strategic planning committees, our school improvement plan development teams, and getting that feedback and input is critical at any time. To maintain that ongoing relationship, we try to stream meetings when we're able to, or presentations, performances. We want families to still feel connected, even if they live very far away and are making that sacrifice to send their child to live here in the dorms. Thanks again for the opportunity to allow us to answer these questions, and I'm happy to follow up with anyone if you have any questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Shelley, so much for sharing all that great information. And last but not least, we have Elizabeth Padilla from Orange County to share how Orange County addresses these questions. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Good afternoon. So this is really where the rubber meets the road. You will hear me discuss or mention all of the presenters or their programs that you have heard today. To truly make good decisions, you have to know who and what is going on, not just with your district, but you have to cast that wider net. So the bottom line is collaboration relationships are really key as Orange County takes the charge of providing a free and appropriate education for students that are deaf and hard of hearing. So how does Orange County Public Schools collaborate for a seamless continuum of placement, services, and supports? Communication is so important, and then collaborating with our team is key. You have to know what's happening on the front lines in order for the direction and procedures to take place. So as an administrator, I have to have a very broad perspective, but to get there, I have to involve all stakeholders to make decisions that are in the student's best interest. I use this in all areas of my departments, which really allows for a buy-in to where it's not just I give a decision, but it's really a community practice of a decision. Placements and services are discussions where the team looks at data and the needed supports that the students need to receive a free and appropriate education. These discussions lead to a free and appropriate education and identifying gaps in programming and staffing needs. So you have to have a really good knowledge of student data all around, and that helps the staff when they work with IEP teams. Services can then be pinpointed and staff can be appropriately allocated. This is true for instructional programming as well. Cluster sites have their daily routine, including interventions that are closely monitored, and looking over the data allows for support staff, such as the itinerants, to support where there are gaps. We have seen this recently in our rollout of the Fairview system and how everybody has a role in making everything that happens with the student and looking at their data and making sure that they have very strategic interventions, but it has to be that collaborative effort. So how does Orange County Public Schools have a core group of strong deaf education leaders and parents to promote high quality educational services? My teams are held to very high expectations when it comes to working with any student with a disability. Obviously, in my department, I have a number of staff with very different focuses. So I have to really look at a breakdown of my department. So I have a core department of leaders who work with me to disseminate information, to help problem solve cases or questions, complete evaluations, monitor data. There's a plethora of things that they do. They are kind of my front line to be able to allow staff to get direct information quickly. So it's really important for staff who are working with students to have somebody that they can contact immediately, and then also somebody that they feel on the next level they can talk to as well. There's some deaf educators in our district. Surprisingly enough, one is in my department, and one is at one of our cluster sites. But what I find is the remainder of our deaf adults are teaching our ASL classes in high schools. And I really think that that's important, because anytime I want some of our teenagers to be able to see what possibilities can be for them, these teachers are always willing to come and support. So even though they're teaching in a different area, everybody works together as a unit to be able to show what the possibilities can be. So how does Orange County consider the unique context of the district, student assessment performance, and other key indicators? So I'll go back and talk about Fairview, because that's really been our last really big push. It's been a huge focus the last 3 years. And as long as I've been in this department, which has been a little over 11 years, I have sought out, what is that strategic, systematic program that might be available for intervention for students that are DHH. And I've kind of always met that with a silence, but as time moved on and people started talking and we looked a little bit more broadly, we were able to come up with a lot of ideas. And then of course we came into this program that everybody bought into. This wasn't a me decision, it was a team decision. And with the implementation and progress monitoring of this tool, not only did we see the students make great gains, but the teachers were excited. And when the teachers become excited, you see even more gains on the sides of the student because everybody has bought in and it is a team effort. How does Orange County maintain connections with state leadership and entities that provide professional development and deaf education? I can say first and foremost that RMTC is my lifeline. I am not a teacher of the deaf. That is not my background. I am a speech pathologist. So I have enough information to be dangerous, but I know that it's important to be able to get good research-based advice from people that really truly understand what is happening in the world of deaf education. And so for me, RMTC really is my first stop. I have learned so much from my collaboration with them. I've taken instructional strategic programming recommendations from them and seen a great implementation in my school district. I've partnered with them to help with needed coaching when we needed help with building capacity in my department. And I've actually presented with RMTC at 2 national conferences showing, one, student outcomes of implementation of strategic systematic programs and how you create a vision, how you roll that out, and the outcomes of professional development and partnerships with outside stakeholders. And lastly, how do we collaborate with advocacy and other family support organizations? It's kind of a laundry list. However, I've already talked about RMTC, but they are kind of my first resource because they can start pointing me in a direction that will help me get my questions answered. And working with FSDB over the years, not only have we had kind of an interagency discussion about students that are coming from my school district, but they've also opened up our doors when we've had maybe a new administrator take over a school who has a lot of questions about instruction and curriculum. When you're working with students that are deaf or hard of hearing, they've allowed us to come visit the site, ask questions, look into programming. So they have really been a great partner. This year, working with the Clark schools, we were able to benefit from a grant that they had written where they provided some Ling kits that we could provide to our parents, and really had a very nice discussion and rollout of creating that relationship to be able to better meet our parents' needs. The Debbie School has been a great resource over the years for my staff to really start looking at how do you look at students that have a hearing loss, how do you intervene with them, how do you look at them diagnostically, and they've always kind of dropped what they were doing to be able to talk to us and really give some good consultation. In the last 3 or 4 years, the UCF Listening Center has been an enormous help to us. We are actually working with them to have staff certified with their LISLs. They come in, it's kind of a partnership where we help with their interns, but they also come in and provide the supervision that is required for our staff to obtain their LISL certification. We also work with Hearing Me, which is our Birth to 3 program. And we not only attend parent events, different types of events that they offer, but we also have the opportunity to be able to sit down and really talk through some of those more difficult cases as students start to transition into our services, whether it's Birth to 3 or they're coming into the district as a brand new 3-year-old. The Educational Interpreter Project has been essential for us. Many years ago, we looked at the job description of our interpreters, and we tried to better match it to have an idea of what kind of interpreting levels our interpreters had. Through the project, we've been able to work with them to have our staff take the EIPA. They have helped us with some of that funding. And then in addition, they've also come out and provided many types of trainings for staff, whether it's been specifically for Orange County or if it's just something that they're rolling out kind of across the state. So they've been a great resource. In working with Project Search, they have been a fantastic kind of post-secondary opportunity for our students to get some of our students job ready. And actually, some of our students have been able to gain employment through Project Search. We've worked with the NRSC STEM outreach to be able to get instructional tools into the hands of our teachers of the deaf, such as IXL and so on and so forth. I could not stop talking without talking about bees. Jennifer and her support staff have really been great. When I have a question, whether it's something that's very technical or just kind of a sidebar question, she's always available to be able to help me better steer my staff to make good decisions when we're working with students. And of course, working with other school districts that are within your vicinity, but also size like, is really important, because you can talk the same talk. You can ask questions about, well, what are you doing, or how did you approach this, or do you do this with your budget? So it gives you some ideas of what you can bring back to your district, or you can share what you're doing. So that's kind of Orange County in a snapshot. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be able to give you information about Orange County, but also in the bigger picture of working with some really great organizations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That was phenomenal. I think you really summed up what all we are trying to express today when we talk about Principle 10, that collaboration is essential. I want to thank all of our panelists today, Jennifer Coburn, Carl Merlina, Jennifer Francisco, Shelley, and Elizabeth. We appreciate your time and expertise on this topic. We thank you all for being here with us today, or with us through the recordings of these 10 principles of optimizing outcomes for students who are deaf and hard of hearing. We would also like to take the time to thank our ASL interpreter, Catherine from AI Media, for providing the interpretation today. I'm sad to say this is our final TA Live for the 2020-21 school year. We hope you enjoyed this evidence-based series on optimizing outcomes for students who are deaf and hard of hearing.
Thank you for watching this TA Live webinar. RMTC DHH is a Florida Department of Education, Bureau of Exceptional Education and Student Services discretionary project, and all of the services we provide are at no cost to Florida stakeholders. To continue our work, we must collect survey data to justify why our services are needed. If you could please complete our survey, we would greatly appreciate it. You can keep in touch with RMTC DHH by following us on social media, and we have a Vimeo and YouTube channel with a plethora of videos of our presentations, our TA Live webinars, and some additional videos demonstrating working with students who are DHH. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at info@rmtcdhh.org.